There are moments in time when the sky itself becomes a teacher. On August 20th, as dawn breaks, three great lights, Moon, Jupiter, and Venus, stand together in rare alignment. This is not a coincidence. It is a signal, a call for those who walk the path of mastery. For the chosen ones, such alignment is not meant for excitement or spectacle. It is a mirror showing you the hidden currents inside your life. Energies that usually remain quiet rise to the surface. Attachments, fears, and patterns you thought were buried. Suddenly they reveal themselves. This is why the path requires stillness. This is why the path requires space. In this video, I will guide you through why isolation on this day is not only wise, it is necessary. Even from the person closest to you. You will learn how Shaolin philosophy understands solitude not as rejection but as refinement. You will discover how cosmic alignments amplify what is within, and why without silence and separation clarity cannot appear. There are truths rarely spoken, how the closest bond can sometimes weigh the heaviest, how the voices we love most can blur the whispers of our own soul. On this day, the discipline of distance becomes a shield, and through that shield you step into a deeper form of strength. Stay with me until the end of this teaching, because the insight is not only about August 20th. It is about a lifelong practice of mastering your inner world even when the outer world tries to pull you away. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If you walk this path with us, subscribe now and continue your journey of clarity, discipline, and awakening. There is a reason the old masters would disappear into the mountains for weeks, sometimes for years. They were not running away from the world. They were stepping into silence so that the noise of the world could no longer drown the voice within. Shaolin wisdom teaches that retreat is not weakness, it is discipline. When you remove yourself from constant interaction, you begin to notice the subtleties that are usually lost. The rhythm of your breath, the weight of a single thought, the tension held in your body. Silence becomes a mirror, showing you not what you pretend to be, but what you truly are. Many people misunderstand isolation. They see it as rejection, as a cutting off from those they love. But the truth is the opposite. When you allow yourself a sacred pause, you are not pushing others away. You are preserving the clarity that allows you to return to them with deeper presence and stronger compassion. During moments when energy in the cosmos shifts, such as rare alignments, your awareness is more sensitive than usual. The emotions, desires, and fears of those closest to you can slip into your own field without you even noticing. What you think is your truth may actually be their influence. Without distance, you cannot tell the difference. This is why the path requires solitude. Not forever, but for a time. Like sharpening a blade, the steel must be drawn away from distraction so it can regain its edge. Retreat and silence are the whetstones of the spirit. Through them, perception grows sharper, and what was once blurred becomes clear. In that clarity, you no longer carry the weight of borrowed voices. You stand in your own. The ones closest to you often hold the deepest ties. Their hopes for you, their fears about you, their unspoken expectations. They live in the space between words. These ties can feel warm and comforting. But during moments of powerful alignment, they can also become heavy chains. Not because they mean harm, but because every bond carries energy. When cosmic currents rise, your spirit becomes more sensitive. Like a still pond touched by the smallest ripple. The energy of another person, especially someone deeply connected to you, can stir those waters until you cannot tell which feelings are yours and which belong to them. Their worries may echo as your own. Their attachments may disguise themselves as your choices, and without even knowing, you walk in their shadow instead of your own light. Ancient teachings remind us that clarity demands separation. A warrior in training does not spar endlessly in the crowd. He steps aside to refine his form in solitude. A monk does not hear the truth of the bell while standing in the marketplace. He enters the hall of silence. This discipline is not cruelty, it is precision. Space is not an abandonment of love. It is the practice of mastery. To stand apart for a time is to reclaim the inner ground where your own voice rises free of interference. In that space, you see clearly what belongs to you and what was only borrowed. You learn to carry connection without entanglement. During alignment, this discipline becomes vital. Without the space to separate, you remain bound to the tides of another's energy. With it, you step into higher clarity, where your choices are guided not by fear, not by expectation, but by the deeper rhythm of your own spirit. Wu Wei, the art of action without struggle, is one of the deepest lessons in Shaolin philosophy. It teaches that true strength does not come from forcing the river to flow, but from learning to move with its current. In relationships, this wisdom becomes especially important. To step back from someone you love during moments of great alignment is not a rejection of them, it is an act of balance. When inner energy is shifting, your process belongs to you alone. If you try to carry another into that process, their path and yours become tangled. Their emotions, their pace, their resistance, all of it weaves into your own growth until you no longer know where you end and they begin. In such moments, Wu Wei is the choice to release. Not with anger, not with judgment, but with compassion. The old masters would often say, to interfere in another's journey, even with good intention, is to steal the lesson meant for them. By creating distance, you are not closing your heart. You are allowing both hearts to walk freely. This is the quiet discipline of compassion, to let go without pushing away, to honor both parts without clinging. Stepping back during alignment is therefore not weakness, but refinement. It shows that you trust the unfolding of your life and theirs without needing to force an outcome. This is mastery, not to grasp but to release, not to control but to allow. In that pause, both you and your loved ones are respected. You walk your road with clarity, they walk theirs without your shadow falling upon them. Wu Wei becomes the invisible bridge between you, built not on pressure but on freedom. And from that freedom, true connection grows. When Saturn moves in retrograde, especially through the waters of Pisces, the teachings are never about expansion outward, they are about contraction inward. It is a time when the universe calls for discipline, not display. The chosen ones understand that this is not punishment, but training. A reminder that true mastery is not found in constant expression, but in deliberate restraint. Restraint is an art. To say no when your heart wants to please. To withdraw when your mind urges you to explain. To hold silence even when words press against your lips. These small acts may seem invisible, yet they are the very stones that pave the path of self-mastery. In Shaolin practice, discipline is measured not by how hard you strike, but by how steadily you can hold your stance while the world tries to shake you. Confusion thrives in noise, in constant reaction, in the endless pull of others' expectations. But when you choose solitude with discipline, the fog begins to thin. The scattered pieces of thought come back together. What once felt tangled becomes a straight thread, guiding you forward. Think of a blade drawn back into its sheath. It does not lose its edge there. It sharpens in stillness. In the same way, the chosen ones use retrograde as a time to polish the inner instrument. No rushing, no forcing, just quiet refinement. This is why solitude during alignment matters. It is not about isolating forever, but about honoring the sacred rhythm of retreat. When you practice restraint in this way, you turn confusion into clarity, silence into wisdom, and solitude into strength. Saturn teaches this lesson again and again. Discipline is not limitation, it is liberation. When great alignments unfold, they act like a lantern shining into hidden corners. Strengths become brighter, but so do weaknesses. The areas you have mastered stand tall, yet the places you neglect rise to the surface just as clearly. This is not to shame you, it is to reveal where your next step must be taken. In such times, mindfulness becomes the shield. To rest your attention on the breath, to notice the movement of a single thought, to feel the weight of the body as it sits still, these simple acts create a boundary that outside voices cannot cross. They return you to the present moment, where clarity lives. Without this discipline, you are open to every projection, every fear, every influence from those around you. And their voices can grow so loud that your own is lost. The ancients would often retreat into silence, not to escape, but to listen. They knew the universe does not shout, it whispers, and whispers can only be heard in stillness. This is why isolation is more than absence of company, it is presence with yourself. In that quiet, the dialogue shifts. What once was chaos begins to form into guidance. The discipline of mindfulness is like holding a lamp steady in the wind. Without training, the flame flickers and dies. But with practice, the light holds, and even the strongest gust cannot extinguish it. So too with your awareness. The more you return to it, the more unshakable it becomes. Energy alignment is a test. It shows you whether your shield is strong or fragile. By choosing mindfulness and solitude, you do not hide from the test. You meet it directly, prepared to hear what the universe has been waiting to tell you. There are bonds you can see, and there are bonds that remain hidden. Shaolin practice often describes them as invisible ropes. They are not tied by others but by your own hand, through habits repeated without thought, emotions carried long after their time, and expectations absorbed from family, society, or even the people you love most. Over time, these ropes grow tighter, until the spirit cannot move freely. You may feel restless, heavy, unable to rise, yet unable to explain why. Moments of alignment expose these bindings more clearly. It is as if a light falls across the knots, showing you where you are still held. At first, this recognition can feel uncomfortable because the ropes are familiar. Habits give a false sense of safety. Old emotions feel like identity. Expectations can masquerade as love. But the path of mastery does not allow the spirit to remain tied. Isolation, especially during powerful energetic shifts, becomes the blade. By withdrawing into silence, you see the ropes for what they are. With breath as your guide and discipline as your hand, you cut through what no longer serves you. The cut is not violent. It is precise, deliberate, and necessary. Ancient masters would often retreat before stepping into greater responsibility. They understood that a bound spirit cannot lead, cannot teach, cannot walk with clarity. Only when the ropes are severed does the spirit rise light and untethered, ready to move with the rhythm of the universe. This is why solitude is sacred. Without it, the knots remain hidden, tightening quietly with each passing day. With it, you find the strength to cut, the courage to release, and the freedom to rise beyond the weight of invisible ties. Stillness is often mistaken for inactivity, yet in the Shaolin path it carries a very different meaning. Stillness is preparation. It is the silent work that takes place before visible movement. A fighter does not strike without first steadying his stance. A monk does not ring the bell without first drawing a deep breath. In every action of power, there is stillness before motion. During rare alignments, when energies heighten and old patterns surface, isolation becomes the ground where stillness is cultivated. To step away from noise, from the pull of others, is to allow your spirit the space to refine itself. In that quiet, you gather strength the way water gathers behind a dam, not rushing out wildly, but building silent force that when released moves with precision. The ancients knew this well. Before a great battle, warriors would often retreat into silence. To an untrained eye, they seemed idle. But within, they were aligning body, mind, and breath, so that when the moment of action came, there was no hesitation. The discipline of stillness gave them an edge sharper than any blade. So too in your own life. To isolate during alignment is not to waste time. It is to charge the inner field, to refine thoughts, to steady the heart. The world may tempt you to act quickly, to respond, to explain, but mastery means resisting that pull. You wait, you sharpen, you prepare. When the moment of movement finally arrives, you act with clarity, not confusion. Your steps are deliberate, your words precise, your presence unshakable. Stillness has already done the work. What others see as sudden strength is simply the quiet power you cultivated in silence, now revealed at exactly the right time. Emptiness is a word many fear. To most, it sounds like absence, like something missing. Yet in Shaolin wisdom, emptiness is the highest form of readiness. It is the open space where possibility lives. A cup already full cannot receive more. Only when it is emptied can fresh water be poured in. Stepping away from others, even those closest to you, is a way of emptying your vessel. The attachments, the conversations, the subtle influences that fill your inner space are set aside. In their place, silence enters. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, like standing in a bare room with nothing to distract the senses. But the longer you remain, the more you realize that emptiness is not a void, it is a beginning. The ancients often practiced retreat before receiving new teachings. Masters would send students into solitude, not to punish them, but to prepare them. A crowded mind cannot hold wisdom. A heavy heart cannot rise to new heights. Through emptiness, both are cleared, creating room for insight to settle and grow. During moments of powerful alignment, this discipline becomes even more vital. The energies that move through the cosmos seek a vessel to enter. If your spirit is cluttered with old patterns and borrowed voices, the flow passes by you. But if you are empty, clear, receptive, new strength and purpose take root within you. Emptiness, then, is not weakness, it is potential waiting to be filled. By stepping back, by releasing the constant exchange with others, you open the door to what is greater. The universe does not pour into a vessel already overflowing. It fills the one that is humble enough, disciplined enough to become empty first. When the moment of alignment has passed, you do not step back into life unchanged. The solitude, the silence, the discipline of holding yourself apart. These are not empty rituals, they carve space inside you, and in that space something new takes form. You return not as the one who withdrew, but as one who has shed weight and gathered strength. Balance is the gift of this process. The emotions and expectations that once tangled your spirit no longer cling so tightly. You see yourself with clearer eyes. And because of this, you also see others more clearly. Where before there may have been confusion, now there is calm. Where there was entanglement, now there is freedom. The ancients understood this rhythm well. Retreat, renew, return. A bow must be drawn back before it can release its arrow. A seed must break open in darkness before it can rise into the light. Isolation is the drawing back, the breaking open. Renewal is the hidden work that follows. And when you return, your presence carries the quiet authority of someone who knows themselves. True connection cannot grow from confusion. It requires clarity. Without knowing your own center, you lean too heavily on others, or let their weight lean too heavily on you. But when you return balanced, you offer something different. You stand in relationship without losing yourself. You give without depletion, and you receive without clinging. This is the deeper purpose of isolation during alignment. Not to build walls, but to restore foundations, so that when you stand again beside those closest to you, your presence is not clouded by entanglement, it is strengthened by clarity. And from that clarity, connection becomes not a chain, but a living flow. When the sky moves in rare patterns, it reminds us to move within ourselves. August 20th is not about fear, nor is it about turning against the ones we love. It is about creating a sacred pause, a space where your spirit can breathe freely. Solitude in these moments is not separation. It is preparation. It allows you to cut the invisible ropes, to clear the vessel, to return with balance and strength. Carry this wisdom into your daily life. Give yourself time to step back, to listen deeply, to walk alone when needed. In doing so, you do not lose connection, you refine it. The chosen ones know that true clarity is born in silence, and true strength is built in stillness. Walk with this practice, and you will find that even the closest relationships flourish when you stand in your own light first. Thank you for sharing this moment of reflection. If these teachings speak to you, we welcome you to join us on this path. Subscribe to Shaolin Soulfire and continue walking with clarity, discipline, and peace.